Today on the show we're going to be recapping Supergirl episode 1. I will say I loved this episode of Supergirl, but it didn't start off to good first impressions, and this is just going to be a brief summary of what happened in this episode with a few of my opinions. So the episode started off with us being introduced to Kara. I will say I did find this very, very interesting because obviously I do say in my brief history of Supergirl that Supergirl is one of my favorite characters of all time, and the changes they made to Kara's origin, I don't mind, but I do also mind quite a bit. I don't like that she was sent to Earth to look after her cousin. I don't like that. I feel like Supergirl has always been her own character with her own story, and then they're making her rely on the legacy of Superman a bit too much. She already has Super in her name. She doesn't need to be relying on Superman any more than that. People will watch her for the super in itself. But nonetheless, we see that she was shot to Earth minutes after her cousin, and then on the way she was knocked into the Phantom Zone for 24 years where she didn't age, and eventually she found herself on Earth. Her cousin was all grown up, but she was still a little girl. Then she's sent to live with the Danvers, and she's adopted by the Danvers, so she becomes Kara Danvers. Skipping forward a few years, Kara is now an adult who works at Catco. She is basically a personal assistant that doesn't really have that important of a job. Basically anyone could do her job. She likes to go out on dates, she has friends in the office, and she has a date tonight, so she actually has to turn down this one guy in the office. People are saying, oh, she shouldn't be working in an environment like this doesn't reflect the character. In actual fact, loads of comic book characters have this type of story. Superman, awkward in the office, but he's an amazing superhero. Peter Parker, awkward in the office, but is an amazing superhero. Supergirl, awkward in the office, but is an amazing superhero. It's not anti-feminist to make her awkward in the office and care about fashion and stuff. She is just that character. We then go to a scene where Kara's sister helps her get ready for a blind date. The only important thing about this scene is we find out that Kara's sister is going to be on a plane. Then while Kara's out on said date, the plane that her sister's on begins to crash. So Kara says, right, I'm going to use my powers to save my sister, and she flies up and away and stops this plane from crashing by putting it in a river, but planes are heavy. I'll give her this one. I appreciated this scene for a number of reasons, and this was actually the scene that made me go, oh, I'm going to like this show, because first off, it didn't play us like a fool. We know who Supergirl is, we know what her powers are, so let's just introduce her powers in the first 10 minutes. There's no point in doing this whole thing where her powers slowly start to awaken. No, we all know who Supergirl is, we know what her powers are going to be, so let's just do it. Secondly, I appreciated her reason for using her powers, to save her sister. Now some people might say this is cheesy, or some people might say it's cliche, but that kind of suits the character and it suits the drama that they're going for in this series. The thing is, the whole point of Supergirl is that she's a character that's very, very girly, and all of her storylines kind of revolve around emotions and interactions. I mean, she just had a storyline recently in comics where she becomes a Red Lantern because of her anger. If that isn't a storyline about emotions, I don't know what is. Then later that night, it turns out her sister is actually mad at her for using her powers, even though Kara saved her sister's life. And the two of them end on a bit of a bad note. Again, I love the melodrama in the scene. I really do like what they're going for with the drama. Skipping forward a bit, she tells her friend at work that she is Supergirl, and the two of them begin to work together to try and come up with a costume for her. And there's this whole part deciding the costume. I don't mind this. I love costumes, but I don't like the Supergirl costume whatsoever. I just think it's so plain. They're going for a bright, fun series, so why make the costume so dark and dull? And not everything needs to be made out of leather or leatherette. I mean, why is that skirt leather? That makes no sense to me. I would have preferred it if they did sort of like a Western take on Sailor Moon and sort of merged it with the Supergirl costume that they were going for. But I will say there is one major thing that I like about the Supergirl costume. The shield they used. That is a Supergirl shield that I love. Then we see Supergirl, she's going to stop a fire, and on her way she's hit with some kryptonite darts. So she falls down to the ground, and when she wakes up, she is in the DEO. And they basically tell her, look, you're an alien and we don't trust aliens. And oh my god, her sister works for the DEO. And then Kara turns around to her sister and is like, wait, did you get a job here because your sister is an alien? And her sister, and I'm paraphrasing, basically says something along the lines of, no, but yeah, but no, but yeah, but no, because I'm actually really, really smart. And yeah, we shared a bathroom, but I'm smart. I forgot to mention, earlier in the episode, we met Jimmy Olsen. And then in this next scene, Kara finds out that the mysterious flying woman is now being called Supergirl. And Kara's like, hey, we shouldn't call her Supergirl, we should call her Superwoman. And Kara's boss is almost about to fire Kara, actually. And then Jimmy walks in and is like, hey, look at this picture of Supergirl that Kara got. Yeah, Kara totally got this. And so Kara's boss doesn't fire her and she lives at her job another day. Then she starts to receive this mental message from the main bad guy of this episode. So she goes to fight said bad guy and she loses this fight, and it's really, really emotional. Like, losing almost makes her quit being Supergirl. And I know lots of people are going to complain about this, but let's really think about it from Kara's point of view. She's got these powers, but she lives on Earth. Life was probably very, very easy for her. So she's probably never lost in her life before at anything. And it's also worth noting, she says it herself, she's never felt physical pain before. Why would she? She's a Kryptonian on Earth. Her body just wouldn't need to feel pain because there's nothing that can hurt her. So she's experienced losing for the first time, cupped with physical pain. Naturally, she's going to be a bit iffy from this point onwards. But that night, Kara's sister goes to her and says that the world does need Supergirl. And then she shows Kara this projection of her mother that was found in her pod when she arrived on Earth. So Kara watches it. Kara's mother basically tells her to forge her own destiny. So Kara decides that she is going to be Supergirl after all. The DEO tells Kara to fight the bad guy, and then when she can, use her laser vision to heat up the axe, and that should defeat the bad guy, and that's exactly what happened. The next day, she meets Jimmy Olsen at work, and oh my god, he knew that she was Supergirl all along. Who would have guessed? I never saw that coming. And he gives her the blanket that Kal-El was wrapped in when he arrived on Earth. And this fabric just happens to be the perfect indestructible fabric that Kal-El used for his cape. So now Supergirl is going to get to use it for her own cape. Good luck sewing it. And then in the final scene of this episode, we see that the main bad guy of this series is actually going to be Supergirl's aunt. Oh my god, that's actually really cliche. Now, I'm not going to say that this is my favorite TV show in the world, but it is my favorite comic book TV show on the grounds that I hate The Flash, I hate Arrow, and I can actually watch this. Like, I can get into this. But then lots of people before this show even started were crapping on it and were saying, oh my god, the character seems so stupid, she seems so weak. On what grounds? It's Supergirl. She's actually acting like Supergirl. Like, they haven't felt the need to change the character that much. She's not the New 52 Supergirl, but she is pre-New 52 Supergirl. Like, this is Kara, as I know her. In a lot of these comic book TV show adaptations, they change the characters' personalities. Arrow is a prime example of that. They're just changing Green Arrow into Batman. Green Arrow is actually a really, really funny, witty character. He's not like that at all in this TV show. But in Supergirl, they're just doing Supergirl. They're just doing Kara with hints of other Supergirls thrown in here, which I've already expressed my issue with. But still, I like that they're doing Kara, and I can't wait to see where this TV show goes. It's super effective! Okay guys, that is it for today. So what do you think of Supergirl so far? Please leave in the comments down below. Also don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more TV recaps. And also don't forget to like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, support the show by checking out my Patreon if you want to see bigger and better and more comic book history videos. And also don't forget to subscribe to my vlogging channel if you'd like to start your day with me every single day. My name is Faust, this has been Exploring Comics, and it is super effective.